look and say, man, I just need somebody to give me that opportunity, you know, so I can try to make it. Now, whether they succeed or fail is on them, but, you know, at least try to give them that opportunity.
So last, before we move on to the next topic, there's one part in verse 3 that kind of also touches on this issue. It says, my father wasn't a banker, neither was my neighbor. When it came to getting paper, who the hell was going to train us? It's basically going back to the same thing. If nobody's there to teach us what we need to do to better ourselves, how can we ever better ourselves?
And as long as we understand that we don't use that as a crutch and we don't use it as an excuse, because even though no one's there to teach us, we have to be able to have the fortitude and have the drive to do it ourselves. Now, to go back to what he's saying, you know, Caucasians and then you have Asians, they have legacy of money and inheritance. Black people don't, because the thing about it is you'll have a mother who's struggling, who's working, you know, two jobs, and you know she's trying to do the best she can, and then your child get lost in the same cycle because she's not there to teach him. Save money. You have to invest. You don't spend money. Don't be, you know, these are things, these are small things that if we implement in our child's life as they grow, you know, and that goes back to saying anybody that's in the hood or in the suburbs or whatever the case may be, if you get to a level of success, whether it is managing a retail store, at least give some advice to other people on how you can do it. And that's just, I mean, I think that's just a personal strive that people should want to do, but people don't do it. So you can't depend on that, you know what I'm saying? You have to have some form of want to do it yourself.
Yeah, I mean that's raising a really good point. You know, just kind of goes on that, which is, you know, I'm trying to keep it in line with the theme of the show, though. But which is like this. I mean, like you know, basically when you look at it and you're talking about, okay, you know, who the hell is going to teach us? I mean, there's an old saying I grew up with the older people in, you know, my family generation, which is, you know, that whole concept of it takes a village to raise a child, which is, you know, I don't really see that, I think, you know, in our communities now, which is like, you know, when I came up, it was like this, man. I knew if I did something, man, Miss Sally on the corner would call my moms and tell her, even if she, you know, she didn't see my mom, she would tell my uncle or tell my aunt. Somebody would know what happened, and, you know, they took that collective interest in making sure that, you know, that we culturally grew and got the knowledge and information that we needed to succeed. Talking about, like Mahogany said, you know, you have a cycle where, okay, you have a broken household, you have a single mother, you know, working 2-3 jobs to make ends meet to try to raise that child. They don't necessarily have the same family connectedness, community connectedness to make sure that, you know, that child is being looked after and given the tools that they need to succeed.
But the second song that we discussed tonight is the last track on the album, which is very important to black people today. 2008 is a voting year, and we have a person, Barack Obama, and the chance of actually having a black president. Nas spoke about a couple of different issues, going back to how he felt as though Obama would question himself on election night if he won, whether he should be scared for his own life, scared for his family's life, whether if something was to happen to Obama, how would black people react, and just how having Obama in general, whether
the idea of
having Obama as a president would better the country, because we never had a president like Obama. It also touched on the hook. I know it seems heaven sent. I'm not ready to have a black president. Are we really even ready for a black president?
And not only are they ready, are we as black Americans ready for it? And that, you know what, and I said it last time too, I mean, the idea of this historical change, and you have the child on the corner that has no way out, he's in the ghetto, you know, no way, he doesn't see the way, but he sees a black man running this country. You don't know what type of impact that will have on his whole perspective of life. You know, you don't know. Now, another thing is true, those are questions, but they're valid questions, and obviously Obama understands that these are risks that it would take, but to have this happen, it's enormous. It's
enormous. It's historic. I mean, the way I look at it, man, we done had 42 other individuals who are not African American who had the opportunity, basically, to lead and run this country.
They've all been Caucasian. They haven't been any other.
Now, if you look at this from a global perspective, you know, you have other countries where women have been heads of state. You have people of color who are heads of state. So in that perspective, America is kind of running behind, schedule for that. But for America collectively to get to this point, and for Obama to have done as well as he has to this point and garnered the kind of numbers that he means across the collective board, he obviously is touching and resonating with Americans, not just blacks, not just Caucasians, but Americans as a whole. We're looking at, the system is kind of really broken and messed up right now. And people, like his whole thing is hope and change, That's what people are really looking for. So is America necessarily ready? I don't know. I mean, each person has to collectively make that decision and answer that for themselves. Sometimes, though, whether you're ready or not, you have to kick the doors down. And even if we need to drag in and scream and take us along, kick that door down and open it. Because to me, as the way I look at it is like this. I like the fact that Obama is doing this because it gives that little kid, stand on the corners and say, "Hey, mommy, I want to be the president." Before, nobody could really say that. Okay, oh, Jesse Jackson's running. Oh, but now you have your first legitimate,
and it's
tangible, almost there. If you're not registered to vote, definitely go out and get registered to vote. I'm so serious about that because each vote really does count. So it's irregardless of
now,
who vote for. It's just like
now you're saying
out.
vote. I was listening to Nas in an interview one time, and he again, what Nas writes is a script of how he feels. It's a script of his perspective and his ideology. So we should never take other people's word for what it is. So, but politically and culturally, he writes substance in most cases. But Nas is not even registered to vote. He doesn't even know if he's going to vote. So, that's another impact there that's like, he's got so many political views, but he's not willing to make that sacrifice, so he doesn't feel that it's going to make a difference. So those are the things you kind of have to look at in either way. Now, again, to me, Nas is a prolific writer, period, And some things I agree with, some things I don't agree with. But I think when we talk about raising people up and kind of going back and giving a hand, we have to raise consciousness. We have to raise the knowledge of self across the board. Whether Nas say it, KRS-One say it, or Soulja Boy say it, the whole thing is we as individuals have to tap into our own conscience and kind of figure out ourselves,
So do you think Obama's can, after we say 42 other presidents that came before Obama, all of them been white? It's one thing as a president to be the leader of basically the leader of the world. The president looked upon as the go-to guy in the world when it comes to power. Not only is he has that pressure on him, the president of the United States, to me, he's also carrying 400 years of pressure. Do you think it's more pressure on Obama, more pressure on him being the president as opposed to the president before because he's black? Because not only he's president of the United States, he has to make the presidential decisions for the country, but he also has to represent an entire race.
Oh, absolutely, without question. I think there's more pressure. I mean, being a president is stressful. I mean, you look at any sitting president, they get in office, and 4 years later, man, look, they may go into office with a jet black head of hair. Those hairs are gray by the time they leave because you got economic pressures, you got world issues going on. Whether it be John McCain or Obama who gets in, I mean, they got a humongous mess that they have to clean up. I mean, both domestically as well as abroad. So dealing not only with that pressure, but then, like you said, the 400 years of previous pressure, because it's like this: he will be held to a different standard, a different scope of view by history, because it's like this: being the first in any given field places a magnifying glass upon your actions and your decisions that basically history will reflect differently than anybody else who comes. Because let's say, for example, November comes, if he ends up being the elected president, there's an asterisk next to his name forever in history. First black American president. Absolutely. Period. Whether another African American becomes president or not in the future, he will always and forever be the first, and his actions will be viewed in that light.
Right.